Welcome back to Late to the Party. It's the hottest new TV/movie/game review show on the face of the earth. Today we're going to be talking about the hit AMC show Better Call Saul. Now, I know that the 6th season did come out somewhat recently, but I had not seen the previous 5 until recently, so. Now, I know the last video was a little bit more comedic, and I kind of covered a lot more bases when going over Ghost of Tsushima, but this is a big, serious show, so we got to put on our big boy pants for a serious video. Now, as someone who loved every second of Breaking Bad, I was very excited to dive into this show. And I will say it is a much more of a slow burn as you progress through the show, but if you're someone who can appreciate brilliant characters and amazing writing, then this will be right up your alley. Now, before we go any further, there's going to be some major spoilers for the entire series, because I'm mostly going to be going over the characters and their collective arcs within the show, because the characters are really what made this show for me. But yeah, before we get started, big spoilers ahead. I first wanted to talk about the lovely Kim Wexler. We first meet Kim at HHM, and she's the love interest for Jimmy and kind of acts as a moral compass, at least for the first half of the show. Rhea Seehorn's performance as Kim Wexler is undeniably one of the best from 2022, and she got snuffed at the Emmys.
Ray Seehorn, Better Call Saul.
Julia Garner, Ozark.
And one of the things that I love about Kim Wexler is we get to see her slow turn as someone who's kind of a stickler to the rules and follows everything that the New Mexico Bar Association says you gotta follow when being a lawyer, as we see her slowly kind of turn into aiding Jimmy in these cons where they can take advantage of the legal system and in some cases other individuals. And it really just made for one of the best characters of the show, and she brought a lot to the table. Now, flipping over to the other side of the show that dives into all the cartel related thing and fleshes out those characters and relationships, I want to talk about Ignacio Nacho Varga. We meet Nacho early on as he's working for Tuco Salamanca, but after Tuco gets arrested for beating up Mr. Ehrmantraut and gets locked up, Nacho then has a whole lot more responsibility within the Salamanca family and that cartel business. He's a character that you can tell that deep down he has a good heart and struggles with making a lot of the choices and actions that he has to make throughout the series. And he's a perfect example of someone who just kind of fell in with the wrong crowd and got a little bit too in over his head to the point where he couldn't really get out of the situations that he was in. Nacho's fate is definitely one of the saddest in the show, and I just would have loved to have seen him get out of the game, but in that world it really is just kill or be killed. Now for Mr. Michael Ehrmantraut, aka Finger. Mike in Breaking Bad acts as Gus's security detail, as we see him doing a lot of the dirty work for Gus. But in Better Call Saul, we first see him working as a toll booth worker for the courthouse. We get a lot of interesting backstory that kind of lets us see what molded Mike into the man that he is in later on in Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, and what led him down that bad path. But now, yes, even though Mike is doing a lot of that dirty work for Gus, he is also one of those characters that has a strong moral compass. You can see that he doesn't want to hurt anyone that didn't sign up to be in the game. Mike takes no pride or joy in taking any of the lives that he has to take, especially when it comes to the case of Werner Ziegler. He's the German construction worker that's tasked with building Gus's underground super meth lab, and after he leaves the compound he's staying in because he wants to go see his wife, Gus does not give Mike an option and he has to put him down. And it's sad because earlier on we see Werner and Mike building a nice friendship, and you can tell it wasn't easy. Why would I flip the script while I'm talking? But after that kill, Mike seems a little bit more unhinged and does a lot more killing than he did before. I remember my dad told me that was kind of Mike's Breaking Bad moment. Now, finally, we got to talk about the main man himself, Jimmy McGill, aka Saul Goodman, aka Gene Takovich. Now, we first meet Jimmy. Sorry, I had like 3 names going through my head. I was like, which order are we talking about this guy first? Anyways, we first meet Jimmy as he's a struggling lawyer living in the back of a nail salon, and he's just scrounging clients, not really getting much work. And Jimmy has a very slow cooked turn, especially throughout those first 2 seasons, as we see him slowly make more and more poor decisions when representing clients and helping out questionable people, but most of that would probably come from his past of being a con man, which gave him the nickname Flippin' Jimmy. He'd later use all those mischievous genes within him to commit more cons when taking advantage of the legal system and things like that, which all played a part in transitioning Jimmy McGill into Saul Goodman, the criminal lawyer. Now, during season 4, we meet one of the best on-screen antagonists I've ever seen, Lalo Salamanca, who Jimmy gets wrapped up in and has to do some not so fun things for him, which would make him a friend of the cartel, which doesn't sound too great, which would put Jimmy in some not so great scenarios, like having to carry $7 million of cash bail through the desert, or putting Kim in danger when Lalo drops by for one of his house calls. But Jimmy's turn to Saul is an accumulation of all of those things: the cons from his past, the taking advantage of the legal system, the cartel stuff he gets mixed in, just all kind of swirled together, turning into that criminal lawyer. But now I'd like to bring on a quick special guest. It's someone who's seen Breaking Bad all of 3 times, and he's seen all of Better Call Saul. It's my dad. Take it away, Pops. So the show is just a masterclass in character development, amazing writing, and world building, as it all kind of expands on the overarching story of Breaking Bad, yet also delivering its own amazing story as it follows, the whole legal side of it and the cartel side of it. And all in all, just making for one of the best shows of the last few years, and I could not recommend it enough. 5 Cinnabons out of 5.